Hey guys, so thanks so much for watching this training. We have a lot of ground to cover, so I'm just going to jump right into it. Just so you know, we're going to talk about kind of the vision, then we're going to talk about expectations. We'll get into some emergency procedures, and then what the class like structure is actually going to look like. So, just as far as children's ministry, why do we do it? There are like three key principles that I think of that are like key to children's ministry. One is that we get to show God's love to the kids. So what that looks like to me is a few years ago, I was at a different church. We were doing this midweek church program every Wednesday, and kids would come. And there was this one kid in particular. He was in fourth grade, and man, he was one of those difficult kids. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about if you've been in children's ministry before. He was the kind of kid we went, oh man, every time he showed up. But then I got to know a little bit of his story, and I found out he kind of had a troubled home life. He would walk about 6 blocks from his house on a main road to get to this program every week, and then I began to find out a little bit more. I found out he had a kindergarten sister who was also coming to this program, and she would come with him every week. He would walk her there. Then I began seeing him Sunday mornings at church. Like every Sunday morning, he was there, and he was showing up because he knew he was loved. He knew it was a place where he was loved, and still he continued to bring his kindergarten age sister. He would get her ready every Sunday morning and bring her down there. And to me, that is like what children's ministry is. We are a place where kids come here and they know that they are loved by you, and as you show them love, you are living out the love of Christ to them. So that's principle one. The second thing is that we get to affect generations for Christ. So I think to my own life, there was a guy who invested time into me when I was in middle school, and he would meet with me every week, and I wasn't following Christ, but he did this Bible study with me, and eventually I started following Christ because this guy poured his time into me, and then fast forward to now, I have 3 kids of my own who I am raising up. To follow Christ. And my son Oscar was baptized fairly recently, and so now I'm following Christ. My kids are beginning to follow Christ, and then my hope is that their kids will follow Christ, and their kids will follow Christ. All because back here there was this guy that was willing to invest his time into me, and that's what we get to do in children's ministry. And the last thing, the third thing, is that we are so much more than childcare. We are childcare in the sense that kids are being cared for, but we are so much more than that. We're in the business of changing lives. And I just think that how amazing it is that we get to take kids who are from like all over the spectrum on where they are in following Christ, and help them to come alongside them, and help them to come to a place where they know Jesus, and then they begin following Him, and we get to be part of that. So those are the 3 keystones of children's ministry. So now we're going to talk about expectations. So there's a few of them. So the first is show up 20 minutes early. Please be there 20 minutes early. We have kids and families are going to start showing up about 20 minutes early, so they'll need a place to go, along with the fact that other volunteers have kids that they need to bring to class before they can begin serving. So please show up 20 minutes early. Expectation 2 is that you would find your own sub. If it's going to be, if you can give me a month or more notice, then we can look for a sub for you. But if it's less than that, please try to find your own sub. We're going to give you a sub list. So please call some people on it. Try to at least contact a couple people on it, and then whether you find somebody or not, Let me know if it's going to be you in there, or I guess if you found somebody else to take your spot, let me know who you've contacted. Expectation 3 would be live out your faith beyond the walls of the church building. So when you're around town, whether you're at Walmart or Fred Meyer or wherever, gas station, be living out your faith. Kids are going to be watching you and you won't even know it, but the kids will recognize you. And so just live out your faith, live with integrity. Expectation 4 would be to mentor somebody. So sometimes this will mean bringing somebody along with you as you're serving, and you go, hey, I know this person could benefit from this. So, or I could help them grow. So, invite somebody to serve with you. And if that's the case, make sure you let me know, because we still have to do a background check on them. But I would encourage you to do that. Find a way that you can mentor somebody else and bring them alongside you. And the fifth expectation would be that you serve and you attend church. I think if you're just serving, then you're constantly giving, but you're never being poured into. I think that will hurt you. And so we don't want that. I want you to always be really being fed yourself, and serving out of the overflow. I know that it's kind of cliche, but it's the truth. I want you to be serving out of this abundant joy you have for Christ. And I don't want you to get burnt out. So those are the expectations that I have for you. Also, we'll provide a sub list with your schedule and in this email. All right, so now for the emergency procedures. The first thing would be, in case of a fire, you're going to make sure that first thing you do, grab your check-in sheet to make sure, so that you can know that all the kids are there. Then if you're in an elementary class, you're going to go ahead and you're going to take the kids and you're going to go to the outside doors. You're going to head to the front of the church building, and then you're going to head over to the church garden. If you're in a preschool class or the kindergarten age class, then really it's the same thing. You're going to walk across the hallway through the elementary classes, use those outside doors, and then go to the front of the church and to the church garden. So really the same thing. As far as, so we have walkie-talkies in the class on each classroom counter. In case of, if there's somebody strange in the hallway, you can turn on that walkie-talkie, notify security to have them come check out who this person is, this kind of creepy person, or whatever the situation may be. If you need security, you could just turn on the walkie-talkie and use it like a walkie-talkie. Talk into it, security will hear, and they'll come to your help. In the case that a kid escaped the classroom for a reason, you could do two things. One is you might grab the walkie-talkie and let security know, but also you can just kind of run after the kid. Usually the hallway doors are closed, so usually a child's not going to make it far. I have yet to have anybody really escape, so that's a rarity, but in the case that it does happen, you have the walkie-talkie, and you can go get the kid. Also, in case of a real emergency, a kid's choking or whatever it may be, call 911 first, and then you can get me. I'm usually in the hallway, or you can get the parent. So now that we've kind of covered the general idea of children's ministry, I want to get down into really what the classroom structure is going to look like for you. The first thing I want you to know is that every week that you're serving, we will send you a text that just is there to remind you that you're going to be serving. And also, we'll send you a link to how you can access all of the lesson plans online, so you can look at them ahead of time and kind of know what you're getting into each week that you're serving. So as far as the actual class goes, just know, show up 20 minutes early. And when you get there, be sure to grab your name tag that we'll have there for you. And just this is your time to make sure that you have everything you need, that you understand how the activities are going to work for that day, and just that you feel prepared. I'll have already brought in everything that you'll actually need, any items, markers, papers, that sort of thing. I'll have all that ready. So just this will be your time to make sure that you know what's going on and you know where things are at. So during the school year, kids would go in straight into their class. During the summer, we do summer family worship. So kids are sitting in with their parents in the main worship service for the first 15 to 20 minutes. And so what things will look like during the summer is, as kids show up, they'll be instructed by the greeter, and then there will be signs as well that say, "Hey, it's summer family worship, so check your kids into class, and then take them to the worship center, and so that they can sit in with you for a while." And so the check-in tables will be just outside of the class in the hallway during the summer. And so as kids go to check in, they won't even have to go in the class. They'll just check in the hallway, put their name on the check-in sheet, and join their parents. And if any kids happen to sneak past and end up in your class, try to grab them really, really quick and get them back out to their parents. Make sure you find their parents and not just say, "Hey, go find your parents," but you go with them and help them find their parents if they end up in your class somehow ahead of time. So now let's say the service has actually started, and so about 15 to 20 minutes in, the worship leader is going to release the kids to come out to the plaza. So they're going to go in the plaza and meet you leaders. So be sure to have one leader from your class waiting in the plaza after about 10 minutes into service. And I'll have a sign for your class that says, first through third grade or whatever age group you're working with. And it will, and so you'll take that into the plaza and you'll hold it up. And so kids, as they're released from the main service, they'll come into the plaza, they'll see the sign to the class they belong, and they'll line up. As you see, don't see any more kids coming out. Go ahead and usher the kids into the classroom, and go ahead and have them sit down. And so there's going to be 3 different rectangular colored rectangular squares. So have them sit according to their age group. And on Saturday night, it's 1st through 5th grade in the same class. And there's less kids, so just have them sit however you would like. If you'd like to break them up by grade, or if you just want to have them sit wherever, that's fine. So now, as kids have sat down, the classroom leader is going to introduce 3 different points. The classroom leader is going to say the lesson title. They're going to say the main point from that lesson, and the memory verse. So for this particular one that I'm holding up the curriculum for right now, I'm going to say, "Hey kids, so this week we're starting a new series about faith, and specifically this week we're going to be talking about sharing our faith." And so the main point that you're going to be hearing is that when you have faith in Jesus, share it. And the verse that you're going to hear is Romans 10:10, which says, "It is by believing in your heart that you are made right with God, and it is by openly declaring your faith that you're saved." So once the classroom leader has done that, then they're going to say, "All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and watch a video that talks about this." And so then go ahead and play the video. The video is going to cover a few things. It's going to talk about the video is going to have the Bible lesson. It's going to have a story that reinforces the Bible point, and it's going to cover the memory verse. And as you go through the memory verse in the video, be sure it's gonna have motions for the video. Motions for the verse. And so be sure to participate in that. Say the verse with them, and do the motions with them, and encourage kids to do that as well. We want kids to walk away having God's word captured in their heart. So we want to be sure that they're getting that each week. And during the summer, the memory verse will change each week. So just something to be aware of. So once the video is ended, you're going to, the classroom leader is going to get up and say, all right guys, so now we're going to break into our small groups. So first grade, you're going to go into, you're going to follow this leader. Second grade, you're going to be in this leader's group. And third grade, you'll be with me. And then direct them to where to sit. You can have I'd spread out around the class, and I'd have I have tables that you can sit at, or you can sit on the floor, whatever you prefer. And then you're going to go through the provided content for the week. So it starts off with a small group welcome, and that says to introduce yourself and have the kids introduce themselves, and then there's some sort of question to ask them. And then the next section is an activity, and so the activity changes each week. On this particular week that I've been holding up, the activity is a faith newspaper. So it's basically a paper that kids can color on with markers and write different details about their faith story. And so have kids do that. And this time should take about 10 to 12 minutes. And then after it's done, you're going to move on to the small group discussion, which is on the other side of the paper. And the discussion should take about 10 to 12 minutes as well. So it's going to start off with, you're going to say the Bible point together, and then the memory verse. And then it just has pre-made questions, so you can select a few and kind of go through with the kids. And be sure, if nothing else, if time got cut short for some reason, one of the sections says choose an action step question. And so be sure to do one of those, because that's going to be that's going to be the point of application. It's going to help kids take what they learned and ask them how are they actually going to apply it to their lives. So then once the questions are done, you guys are going to go ahead and pray together as a group in your small group. And then from that point, with whatever time is remaining, that'd be a chance for kids to get their prizes. So there are these white totes in the classroom, 3-drawer totes, and in the top drawer it is prizes for those kids that bring their Bibles. If kids bring a Bible, they can grab a prize from the top drawer. If kids bring back their completed take-home sheet, then they can get a ticket, which is in the second drawer, the middle drawer. And also, if kids can say the current week or previous week's memory verse, they can get another ticket. And so the tickets are for a monthly drawing we do for different things. Sometimes it's like a $20 frozen yogurt gift card or that sort of thing. So they have a chance to win the drawing. And on the ticket, be sure to have kids write their first and last name, and then if they know it, have them write their phone number as well. And then it's probably going to be checkout time at that point. If there happens to be extra time, kids can grab toys from the back of the class. There's like a game drawer, and so kids can take games off that and play them. But odds are, at this point, parents are going to be coming to pick up their kids. So be sure to have, as parents start showing up at the checkout door, be sure to have one leader from the class stand at the door and be checking parents, for the child pickup slip. The parent should show the leader a child pickup slip, and then you can hand the child a take-home sheet and release the child. If at this point, if something happened, like if a parent lost their child pickup slip, then you can do two different things. What's going to end up happening is we'll have the parent wait till the end to make sure nobody else comes to pick up the child that actually has a pickup slip. And so if you get to the end of class, there's no kids left in class, and their kid is still there, then you can release the child to the parent that didn't have the slip. And the other thing you can do is, if I'm around, if you see me in the hallway, you can grab me and you can ask me. I'm gonna say the same thing. We just so you know, any parents that have issue with this, what we're doing is we're protecting the child. We do have issues or situations, I should say, within Redeemers where you have some parents bring a foster child and the actual biological parent also attends Redeemers. And so we want to avoid situations like that where, custody situations and that sort of thing where somebody isn't supposed to have the child. We don't want the wrong person picking up the child. So it's for the child's safety. So next I want to talk about the kind of the layout where you'll find different things in the class. So next to the TV, by the sink, there is a first aid kit if kids need Band-Aids or anything like that. And also just under the sink and to the left a little bit, there's a drawer that says accident reports. If a child cuts themselves, hurts themselves, if they're going to leave class in a different condition than they came, make sure to grab one of those accident reports, fill it out, just put the child's name, what happened, and then make sure you put your name, give it to the parent, and have the parent sign it so they're aware of what happened. And then you can just leave it on the counter for me. There are games, like I said before, on the yellow shelf in the back of the classroom. There are extra markers there's a tall shelf kind of in the middle of the room, or in the middle of one side of the room. And in there you'll find markers and crayons, that sort of thing. Typically I'll have any of that out that you will need for the class, but if you have another need for them, you can just grab them. So now we're going to talk about the classroom management, that third aspect. From time to time, you will run into kids that are more difficult. You're going to run into kids that are talking while you're trying to talk, that sort of thing. There are a few different pretty easy tricks that I'll tell you. One is if a child's talking, then a leader can quietly go up next to them, just put your hand on the child's shoulder, and make eye contact with the child, and kind of shake your head, they'll get it. They typically get it. If you're across the room from them and you can see them, again, same thing. Typically, you don't even have to actually say any audible words. You can just shake your head, just like, hey, no, we don't do that here, and they will get it. And if there's a few kids that are talking a bunch in class, then you can divide them up. You can have one move across the room, or you can have them, you can sit in between them. And as far as bathrooms, there are the kids that down one end of the hall. There's a bathroom for kids, and at the other end, at the kind of the entrance of the hall, there's a water fountain. You can release kids to use those, and just make sure that you're aware that one of the leaders is aware of where the kid's going, and kind of keep an eye on them. Be watching out into the hallway for them. Typically, we don't have to worry about food allergies. Have kids not eat their prizes until they are released to their parents. I hope that's everything that you need to run your class well. If you have any more questions, feel free to contact me, and I would love to get that squared away for you. Thanks, guys.